Welcome back to the lab, folks. What I got today is just a simple review of some of the stuff that I got off of AliExpress recently. One of the questions I got from a viewer of one of my mailbags is, do you ever check this stuff out? Well, I do. You see a lot of it go into some of my projects, like in the DC load we're building now, the fans, the case, the heat sink, the thermocouple, the sense resistors. And these are all things that came from AliExpress. You see them go into my projects, the meter as well. That came from AliExpress. And that power supply that I did a little while back, most of that, except for the transformer, everything else came from AliExpress. So yeah, that stuff does make it into my videos, and you do get to see it in operation. However, some things maybe not so much. Now this, I haven't shown you guys this yet, other than to take it out of the package. So we're going to look at that today. And I picked up some of these iSesmo spudgers off of AliExpress, and I've been using this one quite a bit. So I'm going to look at that today. And a lot of people have been discussing in various places about the Furnisi HS01 iron, saying that the tips are proprietary. Well, they're not. This is a tip. It's a SH72 tip, which fits T85, T65, and they mention HS01 as well as SH73. So these tips, now I'll show you something about them, but we're going to have a look, like a mini review of these three items here, just so you get some feedback on what they are and how good they are. Okay, so let me set up to get this iron tip going, and we'll come right back. All right, so here's my HSO1, and in it is a regular HSO1 tip. And I want to show you the difference between them and the similarities. First of all, the connection is exactly the same. The point at which this little shoulder is put on is exactly the same. So this one will go in here. The only thing is, it's about a centimeter longer, about half an inch longer. That's the only difference. If this already seems too long for you, then these might not be a viable choice. For me, it doesn't seem to be a problem. I don't seem to mind at all. So let's get this one in here. Clamp it into place. And let's turn it on. My experience, it takes exactly the same length of time to heat up as the regular Furnisi tips. Now, if we have it on the 24 volts, it heats up a lot quicker and stabilizes a lot quicker. But at this point here, it's ready to go. So we're just going to solder in these three resistors into this board here, just to show you that it does work. Now, these are plated through holes onto long strips on each side, so on both sides. So there's a fairly decent thermal load here. And we're up to temperature, so let's get going on this. Yeah, it works perfectly well. You get these in a bunch of different tip profiles. I'll leave a link to where I got mine down below. You can have a look at them if you're a HS01 user. It's a much better price for these than it is for the genuine Furnisi ones. But I imagine that Furnisi are not making these tips themselves anyway. So you see, this is a nice little 1.5 millimeter chisel tip. It's one of my favorite profiles. So there it is. It works perfectly fine. It gets the job done. And so they're not that proprietary. So you can get replacement tips at a bargain price. Now I'm just going to nip these leads off, because I'm going to use this same board here to test the solder sucker. Again, I think this is a good board because of the fairly high thermal load that it puts on. It's not just this one simple little 1 millimeter wide trace. All right, so we've got the powered solder sucker here ready to go. I've got the bigger of the two tips on it. It comes with two tips and a little tip cleaner. So I'm just going to use the bigger one here to see how that works. If it doesn't work, we'll try the smaller one, but I think this should work fine. What they say is it takes a couple of minutes to warm up. So let's test how long it takes to warm up. But in the meantime, I want to show you how this thing cleans out, because it's important. This thing is going to fill up with solder, as any solder sucker will. All right, just lift that thing right there. You can see it. The heated part here comes off. There's a tube comes in here. There's this silicone gasket, and then it comes into this, and you can take it apart, clean it up, and yeah, this is the mechanism here. It's got a spring-loaded plunger. It releases and sucks the solder in. It just pops back in the way it came out. It snaps back in over this end. And I want to show you the amount of suction that you get out of this thing. Does quite a good job of that. So let's get the thing heating up here and see how long it actually takes. So I'll just do the old solder melting test. There, it's on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think that was about 3 minutes, but I'll verify that when I go into editing and have a look at the time lapse. But we're melting solder good now. All right, let's see if we can get these joints here unsoldered using it. That didn't work that well. Yeah, one was better. Now this tip looks like it's way too big for this job. So I'm going to change the tip. Using a pliers here because I don't want to burn myself. Okay, I'll have to wait for this one to come up to temperature now. In the meantime, I'll talk about this little vise here. I use this thing all the time. This one and this one here. This one usually stays on my soldering bench. These are fantastic. They work really, really well. I'm so glad I got them. This is great for holding small little components or wires close together as you're soldering them. It's got a lot of weight to it, so you don't shift it all around the place when you bring the soldering down to it. Yeah, excellent, excellent little devices, and I use them all the time. Okay, let's see if this tip is up to temperature. Should take a lot less than 3 minutes to get this one up. Yeah, we're good to go on this one. Let's try those joints again. So I'll just resolder them, because it did get most of the stuff out. It just didn't do a very good job of getting it all out. Okay. Let's see if this tip is going to work better for us. It looked like I got everything out that time. And that one. And that one. That one. And that one. And that one. So let's have a look and see if those resistors now are willing to come off the board. That one is, the middle one falls right out. This one seems to have left a little bit of solder on one side, but just a little wiggle and it came out. And the same with this one. So it works. Let's talk about it a little bit. It is a little bit funky having to hold it this far away. If they had managed to put the trigger down here, it would have been a whole lot better. But it's not totally unmanageable, right? It takes a few minutes to warm up, but if you know you're going to be unsoldering things, you can let it warm up ahead of time and get your job done. Do I think it's worth the money I paid for it? Hold on, let me check to see how much I did pay for it. So I paid $9 Canadian for this. I'll leave a link to it down there in case you're interested. It does a decent job if you use the right size tip, and it's very inexpensive. Worth a try, definitely worth a try. All right, now we'll try to move this stuff out of the way, and I'll come back and we'll try out this spudger. One thing I should mention about this solder sucker before I go is they say right on the packaging, the first time you plug it in, it will smoke. I guess they're not too careful about cleaning all the industrial oils off it or something like that. And you do have to plug it in and let it smoke for about, I think it was about 5-6 minutes. It let off some smoke and then it stopped. And it gave that smell we're all familiar with, that smell of Far Eastern industrial oil. So I don't know why they don't clean it before they assemble the thing. That would eliminate that step. But once it does smoke off for that 5 minutes or so, it's fine. It doesn't release any more noxious fumes. Now the spudger. What should I use the spudger on? Okay, I've been using this quite a bit. You can see that it's starting to get quite a bit of wear and tear on it. It seems to work fine. I mean, I don't think it's a real Isesmo, because now if you look at a real Isesmo, it says on it not made in China instead of saying invented and made in Italy here. And the serial number, are they serious about that? I don't think these are serialized. Anyway, yeah, they got the logo is pretty good here from what I can tell, but the The new ones, the new genuine ones, are blue. They're no longer white. So that's another dead giveaway. It's not a genuine one. But it seems to work fine. Now, I've got one of these here, these Noma LED lamps. Now, what I like to do with these, I like to take them apart and take one of the current limiting resistors out of them so that they're not quite as bright as they normally are, and they last a lot longer that way. I find, generally speaking, that these bulbs will only last maybe twice as long as a regular incandescent bulb. Then you have to go out and buy them, but they're several times the price, so they don't end up being as economical as you think they would. But anyway, let's see if we can get this in here and spudge that open. That's just that easy. So yeah, the spudger works. And then here are the two little resistors I'm talking about. So I can't see those with my eyes right now, but I'll have to get it on a magnifying glass. You just take off one of them, and that'll give you a little bit less brightness and much, much longer life. I don't do it a lot on camera. Somebody that does do it is Big Clive. If you ever watch his channel, go over there. He does these things quite a bit. And he's got a lot of videos on going in and modifying various different LED lighting. Yeah, that worked pretty good. And this is one of those ones for damp locations. So as you saw, there was some glue in there too, and I had no problem prying that off. These you get two full-size ones for about $5. And it does seem to work fine. Again, I'll leave a link to this down there as well, so you can go check it out and see what I mean. So we looked at this today. We looked at the heated solder sucker, and we looked at the tip. So yeah, the tip works fine. It's about half the price of the genuine min-vise, and it's available on AliExpress from a bunch of different vendors. I'll leave a link to the one I got it off of down there, so you can have a look at them. And it's just really in response to that. A couple of people are saying, but you never show us the stuff. And as I explained, you see it in my projects all the time, the components that I buy. And yeah, some of the tools I do show you, but sometimes I don't. And I just thought I'd go back, and I've had these in my hands now for about a month or a month and a half. And I've used them, and they work. Thanks for coming out, guys. I hope you got something out of it. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.